President Trump today weighed in on the Supreme Court's tariff ruling, calling it, quote, ridiculous, dumb, and internationally divisive. But the president says it accidentally gave him more powers. Trump said the court ruled the U.S. cannot charge license fees on foreign countries. However, he said the court approved other tariffs. He added they can now be applied in a, quote, powerful and obnoxious way with legal certainty. Trump accused the court of making a poor decision for the wrong people, while also highlighting what he called ongoing threats from China and other nations. He emphasized the ruling strengthens his authority to use tariffs against countries he says have long taken advantage of the United States. In another post, Trump said any countries that wanted to play games with U.S. trade deals would face much higher tariffs. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer says none of the trading partners that struck deals with the Trump administration have indicated intentions to withdraw. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that, plus reactions from key administration members.
Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said he spoke with his counterpart from the European Union over the weekend, as well as officials from other countries. The trade rep says the deals were not premised on whether or not the emergency tariff litigation would rise or fall. Greer says Congress has delegated enormous tariff-setting authority to the president over the years. Speaking on CBS News' Face the Nation.
So even though the Supreme Court struck down tariffs under one authority, tariffs under other national security elements remain in place.
Greer defended tariffs, saying they help negotiate trade deals, reshore critical industries, and attract billions in new investments on U.S. soil.
We expect to have continuity in the president's tariff program. We know that these laws work, they're tried and true, and so we'll have continuity. The policy hasn't changed, just the tools have changed.
Greer also criticized the SCOTUS decision.
It's foreign companies that are benefiting from the tariffs being struck down.
Meanwhile, the European Commission said yesterday it wants full clarity from the United States after the Supreme Court tariff ruling. Following the ruling, President Trump announced a 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, before increasing it to 15% following a detailed review of the court's decision. Under a trade agreement reached last July, the United States agreed to cap tariffs on most EU imports to 15%. In return, the EU agreed to eliminate tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods. It also agreed to increase purchases of military and defense equipment from the United States. Switzerland commented on the tariff ruling, saying it should prepare for the likelihood that U.S. tariffs will remain in place permanently. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the SCOTUS ruling was a very narrow ruling in terms of the president's ability to use emergency powers to collect revenues, speaking on Fox News.
The Supreme Court said the president can put in a full embargo, but he cannot collect $1. So the president still has the most draconian measure for negotiations.
Bessent says Treasury projections show 2026 revenues from tariffs are unchanged, and that applies to the future as well.
The president announced on Friday and then amended over the weekend 15% global tariff using a very robust authority from 1974. Those will be layered on with Section 232, Section 301, and the 122s. They run for 150 days.
Bessent says during that time, studies will be done, which will likely lead to increased tariff revenues. The Supreme Court did not address potential tariff refunds. They remanded it back to the lower court. Bessent says the administration will follow their future legal rulings. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.